Hi everyone, I'm Jay and this is the Camden Stitch. Hi, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm sorry that my videos are a little bit overdue. If you had a look at my message that I sent out on the community tab on YouTube, last week was really busy because I was launching a little side hustle, which is my fabric business, which is called The Fabric Edit, and I didn't really want to make a big thing over on this YouTube channel because my channel is about sewing. It's not about me selling you anything or selling you my business or anything like that. So I kind of just wanted to mention it to you by way of a life update. But if you're interested in what I'm doing, then you can head over to The Fabric Edit on Instagram and see what my little business is about. So that's what I've been up to. Today I am going to be filming you a vlog about birda. So that should be with you soon. They've got the latest birder out. It's not as good as the last one, but you know, what do you expect? Nothing was going to be as good as the last one. The last one was brilliant, but there's some beauties in this as well, so that vlog will be out very soon. But today I thought I would finally do my August makes. So what are we at? Yeah, over halfway through September, and I'm finally doing my August makes video. I haven't really had enough chance for this to be a proper hits and misses video because unfortunately August ended and the summer ended quite sharply, so a lot of my summer clothes I've not had a chance to really wear them out and see whether or not they are sort of successes or not. But I thought you'd like to see what I made anyway, especially since August was a bumper month for me. I sewed loads. Partly that was because I had about 3 unfinished dresses that were sitting on the back of my sewing chair that all just needed little things to finish them, so I finished all of those. So that was a couple of quick wins, and I have one item that's left over from July that I left out, that I forgot to tell you in my July makes video, and it was also my month that I had my quest for the dress, which if you have a look at that vlog that I'll link to above, I made quite a few toiles in just 1 week for one specific dress. I won't bother showing you all the toiles. I'll show you one dress that that is kind of finished, and the dress that I finished up making as well. So I think I've got 10 makes to show you, so let's get started, shall we? In no particular order. I'm going to start off by showing you something that I've never taken photographs of, and that is because they aren't perfect, just kind of I just made them up as pyjamas really, but they were a toile. They were from this vintage pattern that I'll post as a picture, and they're this little cute square-necked top with popper closure, a little pocket and some trousers to match. The trousers have got an elasticated waist, and they've got side seam pockets, and they've also got these little like cargo pockets as well, and you just roll them up. And I've had this pattern for a while. It was actually a present from my friend Sazzle back up in Sheffield. She found a stash of vintage patterns in a shop, and I really love the pattern, but I'd never made it up, so this was kind of a trial to see whether or not it would fit me. It does fit me, but it's not quite loose enough to be comfortable as trousers, and especially in the very hot weather. Although those items did fit me and I did wear them for a couple of days after I made them, they're not really loose enough to be comfortable. So I would really like to remake that pattern because I think it's such a cute little pyjama set. I love the little poppers. I'd quite like to make this little bodice up with a gathered skirt on. I think that would be like such a cute little sailor type look. I think that this whole ensemble has a lot of legs. So that was from the end of July, and I forgot to show you. Next up is another item that has taken me ages to finish, and it's a little puff sleeve dress. I've made it in this scuba that I got as a remnant from one of my FC Fabric Studio sales, which you can find if you go and have a look in my fabric haul vlogs. By the way, if you're ever looking for any of my vlogs, I save them all in separate playlists. One of you asked me in the comments a while back how you could go and view all my vlogs in chronological order. YouTube doesn't let you do that, which is really stupid. It keeps on suggesting you vlogs in sort of random order, but what you can do is watch a playlist. Now, I save all my vlogs into a playlist. If you click on my channel name, and then underneath there'll be a list of things, and one of those will be playlists. Click on that, and I save all my fabric haul videos. I save all my sew and tell videos, which are like my August makes, things like that. My sewing chit chat ones, so if you're not bothered about things like life updates and stuff, you can just skip all those ones. And like other instructional reviews, pattern reviews, I save all under a separate playlist. So if you go to my playlist tab, you can always see all my vlogs there. So this was made in scuba from FC Fabrics. It's got high empire waist, it's got gathers at the bust, and I really like it because it's fitted quite slim through here. It's from a vintage pattern that was originally made for wovens, but I adapted it for knits by reducing the size a bit and cutting the back pieces on the fold. It's one of those vintage patterns that's actually designed with a centre front seam, which a friend told me is dresses were designed like that because fabric didn't used to be wide enough for you to be able to fit a flared skirt on the fold, so you had to cut it in two separate pieces. So you can always kind of eradicate those often out of a lot of vintage patterns. Anyway, so that is the dress. I shall post a picture of me wearing it. And oh yeah, it's the second incarnation of this dress, which I've worn loads. That's also made in a scuba. That scuba was from the textile centre a long time ago. It won't be in stock anymore. But it's just a really cute dress. You know how I love retro dresses, vintage style, but these are just great because make them in a stretch fabric. They're really comfortable. I just find this shape quite flattering on me. So yeah. In the spirit of Sew Frugal, which runs until the end of this month, if you've not heard about Sew Frugal Challenge, there is just time left for you to enter. Check out the vlog that I made about it, which I will link above. In the spirit of Sew Frugal, I'm going to be totting up for you what each of my makes cost, as well as I can remember. So, although it's been a long time since I picked up this fabric, I think the fabric probably cost me £2, and the pattern for this was a gift, but I think that shop was selling them for about £2 each, the vintage patterns. So that dress came in at £4. Which reminds me, what I'm wearing today, by the way, is another vintage pattern that I just finished the dress yesterday. In fact, I went out in it this morning to the doctor's surgery. Didn't realise that I hadn't actually hemmed it. I looked at it this morning and thought, it's a bit long on me. I normally wear my skirts a bit shorter. Higher the hem, the closer to God. And I looked down, I was like, I've not even flipping hemmed it. But this is in a scuba as well. So that was make number 2 of August. Make number 3 is the one that started the whole Megan bodice fitting saga. It came out okay in the end. If you saw some pictures that I posted ages ago, I actually had a Peter Pan collar on this originally, but because of the fitting issues, it wasn't sitting properly around my neck, so I ended up taking the collar off, finishing this with bias binding around the neckline. If I hold that close to you, can you see how I finished it? That's the neckline. It's fine. It's not a perfect fit, but it's a cute little summer dress. It's just in quilting cotton. I lined the skirt so it wouldn't stick to tights, because I often wear tights even in the summer, like with mini dresses and things. My legs are just like 2 white milk bottles, and I don't like to inflict that on the world. Yeah, so I just lined the skirt portion. Yeah, so I sewed the lining pieces up as a separate skirt and just attached it at the waistline when I attached the 2 waistband pieces, and then I blind hemmed it. I blind hemmed the skirt, which I never used to do, And I've got to blame Rachel Stitched Up, because she mentions so often about how when you hem just with a running stitch, sewing machine stitch, it's the like hallmark of homemade clothes. And I always used to do that. And the minute she said that now, Rachel, you've made me up my game, because I've never actually dared just sew with a running stitch since then. Every single time I get my blind hem foot out and do a blind hem stitch to finish a dress, I think of you, Rachel. So, but yeah, it's quite cool that really, that peer group pressure has made me up my sewing game. This one is made from some quilting cotton for Abercan that worked out about £3.50 a metre. I think there's probably 1.5 metres here. Let's call it about £6. The buttons, no idea. Very cheap from millions in my stash. And zip, let's call it another £1 for button and zip. And so that's 7, and the pattern is from Tilly and the Button stretch book. No, not stretch book. Love at First Stitch, which I've made lots of patterns out of. I've made this pattern several times alone. So let's call it another £2 for the pattern. So £9 for this dress. Right, now you will recognise this beauty. This is the second make that I made from the Birder pattern that I talked about in my review of August Birder magazine. I'll pop some photographs in so you can see better pictures of how it came out. But I'm really, really pleased with this little dress. I absolutely love it. I made it in, oh, I've got it back to front. There it is, that's a bit better at the front. So it's got this waistband where you just concentrate the gathers in the central area, and then you sew it so that to stop the gathers spreading again. And I just think it gives quite an interesting effect, especially on a striped fabric. So I made it in this viscose fabric, and also in this it's called Marocaine Crepe. And I absolutely love how this one came out. I love this colour, I love this fabric. I wish I'd bought more of this fabric. I know the man outside Sainsbury's has got some more, but it's £3 a metre, and I'm not sure I can justify buying more fabric when I've just opened a fabric shop. I also made it up in this electric blue Marocaine Crepe. And I absolutely love this fabric. I'd never sewn with Marocaine Crepe before. In fact, it was, I think it's called Hassan, but the man outside Sainsbury's, who explained to me what Marocaine Crepe is. It's basically got, I don't think you'll be able to pick it up on this camera lens, but it's got an absolutely tiny weeny kind of rib in it. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's poly blend or a poly viscose blend. I think it's probably got some viscose in because it's very creasy, but it's got polyester in because it kind of behaves nicely. It's not as slippy as viscose. Anyway, I love this fabric. It was so amazing to sew with, and I've since bought, every time I've seen it again, I've bought it because it was just such a pleasure to sew with, and it drapes so nicely. Anyway, enough about that. I love this pattern. I've actually used the same dress pattern and made it up as a t-shirt dress without this ruching at the waist, and just with cutting the sleeves short, so it's a really, really fast make, but it's exactly the same dress pattern. I've made that in a red and white viscose fabric, and I'll show you that in next month's makes. So yeah, I've made that pattern up 3 times now, so that's been a good Sew Frugal make, because Birder cost me £6. I've made 3 patterns, so let's say £2 a piece for the pattern. This fabric was £3 a metre, so £6 for that. So these 2 dresses would have worked out about £8 each, which I think is a great value. If I'd seen these in a shop at £8, I wouldn't have hesitated to have snapped them up. Next up, let's rewind right back to the end of July, which was when I discovered, or rather finally made up, the Mimi G Jessica dress. I made it up in a couple of different fabrics at the time. I made a jumpsuit out of it using the trousers from a Vogue pattern, but gathered the waist instead of put the pleats in. My original version was made out of a duvet cover set. So having perfected the Jessica pattern, I decided to hack it a little bit. Now, I'm not sure if you've seen this pattern around. It was in McCall's latest summer releases, and I absolutely loved it, but I recognised that it was so almost identical to the Mimi G Jessica dress, and it was a hack which even the most kind of inexperienced sewist could probably manage to make. So I made 2 dresses using a hacked version of the pattern, and this is the first dress that I make. Now, I'm a little bit disappointed with how the photographs of this dress came out. The dress itself I love, it's beautiful. This was one of the first fabrics that I ever bought, and it's quite a vibrant aqua. Although it's quite light, it's quite bright, and how you're seeing it on screen is how it is, but on the photographs it all came up really, really insipid, which is a real shame. But I think that this fabric is so pretty and girly, and just I think that the pattern is perfect for it. So what I did to alter the dress was I squared off the neckline. I changed the facing to have a squared off neck. I think I had to chop a little bit out of the facing, because otherwise when I made it, these came up like 2 ears. They came up really, like, went upwards in the middle. I cut each of the strap lengths double. So effectively made 4 straps instead of 2, which gave me enough length to be able to tie them. So it's almost exactly the same as that McCall's dress. I'm really, really pleased with it. Obviously, because I'd already made it and faffed about with the fit, I knew it fitted me, and so I made it in that fabric. And oh, let's just tell you about how much that costs. I think that fabric was £4 a metre. It's cotton poplin, so it was narrow. It took me 3 metres, so £12 for fabric. The buttons were from a bag of hundreds that I got from a charity shop for 50p. So let's say 25p for the buttons, and there aren't any other notions in it. So £12.25 for that dress. And then this is the second version of the hacked pattern. Isn't this fabric joyful? I picked it up in the Abercan warehouse filler bag sale. So the fabric itself was part of a bag that I think I paid, I can't remember, it was £5 or £10, but the fabric would have worked out at, the fabric cost would have worked out about £2 or £3, let's say £3. The buttons, I got them on eBay, and I think they're about £2 for all these buttons, because the Jessica dress does call for a lot of buttons. I think I put 13 buttons on the front. So the fabric for that, Fabric and Notions cost me a £5. Absolutely love this dress. It's Abercan do a cotton that's got some elastane in it. It might have got polyester in it as well, but it's a bit like cotton sateen, but a little bit lighter weight, so it's got a bit more drape to it. But it means that a dress like this will fit really well, because it's got that little bit of stretch. But unfortunately, it means it's come up a little bigger, even though they made the exact same pattern. It's come up a little bigger than my poplin one. So I might have to nip this in a bit at some point, but it's just comfy and lovely. So they were my Jessica dresses. We're nearly at the end of this mammoth sew and tell. I'll just show you my dress that I made from the quest for the dress. This is the seamwork myrtle. If you haven't already watched my quest for the dress video, watch it, because it's like a Hollywood blockbuster with a happy ending. It came up too big for me. I'm a bit annoyed because I spent ages doing the chevron for the skirt, and I got the chevron so beautiful. I was so happy with it. Happy, I think smug is the word, right? But yeah, it's just too big for me, and I think it's going to be impossible to take in. So it was a toile, it was a test garment. I think this will finish up going to the Mind shop. I should pop a nice label on it, and hopefully they will put it in their designer section, as they did with one of my other dresses, and I was so proud. The dress that I finally finished up with on my quest for the dress was this beauty. I'll just get the bottom flounce in there as well. I'll put the photos in and they'll show it in much better style than I can holding it up. I'm just so pleased with this dress. I've had it out so much. I've had it through the wash as well, actually. I don't know, this dress is always going to make me happy. I have it on my dress form. Just a memory of what I could do under pressure, and a very happy event for me. So yeah, there's a lot of love going out to this little number. The pattern is one that I drafted myself, but it's inspired by a Vogue pattern that I will pop the number down the bottom. The dress that I ended up with is almost identical to the Vogue pattern, apart from I cut in some round spot pockets. But apart from that, it's almost identical. Right, we just got 2 dresses left. Now, I don't know if you follow me over on Instagram, I don't know if you ever see my Instagram stories, but earlier on in August rather, I had a couple of not the most successful sewing adventures with gingham. Now, you will know that I absolutely love gingham, and I tend to buy that cheap polycotton gingham and I use it to toile a lot of dresses, and sometimes I just make dresses in it. I love gingham dresses. I've got one in many, many, many colours. On eBay a while ago, I picked up this bright yellow, big check gingham, and it's polycotton, which means it was pretty thin and see-through, and I only had 2 meters of it, and it's only 112 wide, I think. So there wasn't a lot you could do with it, especially because you have to stripe match with gingham. Well, check match. So I started off making a dress with it, and it didn't come out well. I'll post some pictures in, but I posted in my stories that I looked like the ghost of a Victorian orphan. It reminded me of those, I don't know, I remember at my junior school when we used to have to do sort of plays in assembly about Victorian kids, and your mum used to have to make you one of those mob caps. It reminded me of the sort of dresses we made then. It didn't look good, and it wasn't really something that I was ever going to wear. And so I did my usual stepping away from it for a couple of days, and then I went back and did a rescue on it. And this is what I finished up with. It is the bodice of the Fibre Mood mirror, which, by the way, I do talk about the Fibre Mood mirror a lot. I've made several versions of it, and it's very similar to the Tilly Buttons Indigo. The Tilly Buttons Indigo that she's just released. Very hackable into that. Very similar. Myself, I won't be bothering to buy the Tilly Buttons pattern because this one's so similar. You could there's no point. But with this one, there wasn't enough fabric to make any sleeves, so I put these teeny weeny little sleeves on. From the original Victorian Orphan, I made these sleeves a lot smaller. I actually pinched in a lot of the fabric and pleated it in there, and you can't tell in the end. That was just a little bit of a bodge, but you'll never be able to tell. I did that on both sides. So brought them in quite a bit there, and really reduced the length of one of the ruffles and put my little ruffle on the bottom. And I know this looks like a kind of, I don't know, the sort of dress you'd put on your Tiny Tears doll, but I don't care. I love it. It's very me, and I'll post some photographs of me wearing it, and I think it just came out really cute. And I know that nobody but me would like it or want to wear it, but I don't care. I love it. Somebody once said in the comments, by the way, that they loved all my outfits, and apart from one, and they made reference to one of my outfits. I won't tell you which one it was, but they said, "Oh, don't ever wear that again. It really ages you." And I just thought, if you think I give one hoot about what anyone thinks about what I wear, I would never have the confidence to do a sewing vlog showing you all the things I've made. There are lots of things in life that I do care about other people's opinions on. Loads and loads and loads of things. Loads and loads of things that if you made a comment about certain things, I'd be really upset. But I am really, really confident in my own style, and I could not care less about what other people think about what I wear. I don't know, I went past that I think I went past that aged about 5. I've always kind of worn what I want to. By the time I was 12, I'd got a foot-long Mohican. So I'm always used to kind of being looked at. Nobody's gonna bother me by looking askance at me at my yellow Tiny Tears dress. It's better than my yellow Victorian orphan dress. That's the way I see it. This one, the fabric was actually free because it was sold to me as cotton. When I received it, I messaged the lady and said it's actually poly cotton, because as you know, the difference between poly cotton and cotton is quite, I don't know, you'd pay at least £5 a metre for cotton and £2 a metre for poly cotton. So I think I'd paid £10 for the fabric, and she said, oh, I didn't realise, and she refunded me, and then she said, look, you may as well just keep the fabric, it'll cost you more to pay the postage, and you know, I'll have to refund that to get it back to you. So that was really kind of her. So the fabric was free, and I lined it with poly cotton that is from Pound Fabrics, and I think the poly cotton's £1 a metre. So I think the fabric for that probably cost £2, and there isn't a zip on it, so £2. On to gingham disasters, finally. Who here follows Abby, formerly Crafty Pinup, now What Abby Makes? I know, to me and a lot of other people in my kind of sewing group of friends, we love Abby. She's kind of our vlogging inspo. She's been a massive influence in me in the time that I've been in the time that I've been sewing and involved in Instagram and the sewing community, etc. And she just looks really excuse me, she just really nails it, whatever she wears. I think she looks great in everything. About mid-August, Abby posted a vlog about how she had been inspired by a dress that she'd seen in a magazine, a designer dress, and she'd recreated it by shearing it, and she did a tutorial. So you didn't need to make a pattern, you just made it from your own dimensions, and she showed you how to shear, and she made a couple of these dresses and they looked absolutely amazing on her. They looked beautiful on her. She looked like a fairy dream, right? Unfortunately, the style did not translate well to me. So, heavily influenced by Abby, I decided to follow her tutorial and recreate her red gingham dress with a blue gingham dress of my own. I was trying to be frugal. I had a variety of different sizes of gingham, different sort of scraps, half-metre bits here and there. I decided to join them all together and make a dress to Abby's pattern, and it just looked absolutely shocking on me. I'm going to post some pictures, which, alright, fair enough, you know, my hair's all over the place, I haven't got makeup on, they're not very great pictures anyway, but I think we can all agree from these pictures that Abby's fairy woodland princess style does not translate well to me. I looked like a demented milkmaid. I had this dress on the back of my sewing table for a while, wondering if I could do anything to redeem it and try and pull it off. And in the end, I decided that the only thing I could do was take the sleeves off. So this was my first attempt at shearing. It's an absolute mess, but that doesn't matter because you can't really see it once it's on. But if you look at the white part here, you'll be able to see my crazy lines of sewing. But what I found is that the shearing, I don't know if I didn't do it tight enough. I didn't do it, the lines close enough together, but it didn't grab me enough for it to stay up. If I'd worn this without putting straps on it, it just would have slid down. Like within 5 minutes of me leaving the house, I'd be indecent. So I added straps, and then I tried to add these, the sleeves that Abby makes onto the straps, but yeah, I looked like an idiot. I just looked like a wally. So I took them off and in the end, I've got this perfectly acceptable sundress. It's nice, it's got this frill on the bottom with this kind of roughly exposed bit that I just did myself. I like the two different types of gingham together. It was a very frugal make because this fabric is £2.15 a metre. I used scraps. There's probably, excuse me, my tummy just rumbled. There is a lot of fabric in this dress. I think there's probably about 3 metres of fabric in the bodice, and then I used maybe, let's say, an extra metre there, but they were scraps, so let's call it £8 for all the fabric and £1 for a roll of shearing elastic, so maybe £9, which is, it's not nothing, is it? But I will definitely wear it next summer because it'll be really, really comfy. I mean, I love sheared clothes. I just think they are so comfortable because they mould to you without grabbing you. So that's my August makes. I hope it hasn't been too long for you. I told you there was a lot there. If you enjoyed this vlog, give me the thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, then click on the subscribe button. And if you want to hear more from me, then click on the ding ding bell and you'll get notifications every time I release a new vlog. It's been lovely spending time with you here today. Lots and lots of kisses from me and Camden. Bye. I've got my microphone clipped in my hair.